The silver prices are about to break out, and now it's the time to go out and really do your due diligence and look for exciting companies that could benefit from higher silver prices. And we have always talked to you that first of all the commodity is going to rise, and after that the big and well-known mining companies are following. And one of those well-known mining companies will be with us at our Invest Show 2025 in Stuttgart here in Germany. And the name of the company is quite well known here in Germany as well. It's First Majestic Silver. And today with me is Mani Al-Kafaji. He's part of the management from First Majestic Silver. He and Keith Neumeier will be joining us here in Stuttgart, talking about the company also selling silver coins and bars from their own First Mint silver production. We will talk about all of the details in our interview. But first of all, Mani, thank you very much for your time. It's great having you on our show here.
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate the opportunity.
So, Mani, maybe we can start talking a little bit, let's say, macro perspective, right? We all know that the silver market is in a big supply deficit. That's something that we are talking, all of us are talking about actually for a couple of years now. Only roughly 800 million ounces are produced a year, but the world consumes more than 1.2 billion ounces of silver. And we all know if the consumer consume more than the supply can supply, then we will be in a big trouble one day. Do you think we are at the start of a big silver bull market here right now?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question. We're obviously very bullish on silver. And, you touched on the supply-demand deficit, and it is real. It's been going on for 5 years. 2025 is expected to be another deficit year. And, we know the market better than anyone, and we know there's no new, material supply entering the market anytime soon. So the miners have been flat, producing between 800 to 850 million ounces, yet demand has been gradually increasing, between governments pushing for a greener way of electrifying the planet and all the electronics that we consume, whether it's solar panels, new industries entering the market, we're going to need a lot more silver than what we're currently producing. And as I mentioned, there's really no new silver deposits entering the market anytime soon. I think the most recent forecast from the Silver Institute for 2024, the deficit is going to be 215 million ounces. So that means demand is surpassing supply by 215 million ounces. To put that in perspective, First Majestic is one of the largest pure silver producers in the world. That means you need about 15 brand new First Majestics entering the market right now just to bridge this gap, and that's just not going to happen. So do I think we're entering a bull market? Yeah, absolutely. I think silver has a lot more room to run, and we're just entering, we're getting a glimpse of what that looks like right now, this early in this cycle.
I think so too. We are quite bullish on silver, and this is why we are also happy to have you at our show in Stuttgart, so people can reach out to companies like First Majestics and maybe get a little bit of exposure to benefit from hopefully rising silver prices in the future. So that's very good, and I think we are on the same understanding here when it comes to the silver market. But it's good to hear also from your, let's say, insider perspective that you have the same understanding. But let's come from the physical silver market, right, where we have the physical metals, to the paper silver market. And we all know that there is a little bit of room for price manipulation when you have a look at the paper silver market, where no physical silver is real traded. And I think if people are going to start and buy more physical silver, that could weaken the paper market, in my opinion. First of all, do you think so as well? The second question would be, also, when we talk to people in Germany and tell them that buying silver might be a good opportunity right now, people complaining, and they say, well, in Germany we have to pay 19% taxes on buying silver. So we have to see a 20% increase in the silver price just to get our taxes in the money, if you like. What would you say to these type of people? Should they still continue to buy physical silver? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, look, you touched on the paper and the physical. So we just talked about annually, the miners produce about 850 million ounces of physical silver. Yet every day, silver trades 1 billion ounces. Okay, so let that sink in. Where the physical silver is being leveraged 240 to 250 times on paper. That silver, so it creates this false misconception that there's a lot more silver globally than in reality. And that's, that obviously has a lot to do with the price suppression. You watch the market as close as I do, and we've seen now silver, creeping up. It's nice to see it above $30, but every time it's approaching this magical $35 number, it just keeps getting slammed down. It's really tough to pinpoint exactly what's going on there, but there's definitely some suppression that appears to be keeping it. From a physical perspective, yeah, obviously physical silver is the way to go. What we're doing at First Majestic, we're basically the only mining company that has built and now owns its own minting facility. So instead of selling our silver to the spot market, to the banks where it gets leveraged, now we're diverting that silver to our own facility in Las Vegas, and we're turning it into our own coins and bars. And that way, it's not going to the bank's hands. Instead, it's going to investors, to direct retail buyers who typically want to buy and hold it. So that's going to remove a lot of the silver from the bank's hands and reducing the leverage that they have. On the VAT, yeah, in Europe it is obviously quite different than North America. North America bullion is exempt from VAT, and just recently got exempt from tariffs, which obviously is a good sign for us. From the VAT perspective, I guess it does come down to what the buyer wants to do with it. But ultimately, you're buying the silver, you're paying the VAT. In theory, you'd get that back. So you're just locking up your money. In theory, it's not really an additional cost. It's a cost up front, but it's a cost that you should recover in the future when you sell it. So that's that's one way of looking at it. Another way, and we have a lot of our shareholders and a lot of customers are in North America. What they do, they'll buy the physical, and they'll have that store somewhere else, whether it's in Switzerland or elsewhere, to really kind of avoid paying this upfront tax effectively.
Yep. Yeah, that's also a very good way and to look at it. And I mean, we talked about it earlier, Mani. If we believe that the silver prices can be way higher because we are in an undersupply, we also had kind of a technical breakout. So basically, the way to triple-digit silver, as Keith Neumeier keeps telling, the way is free, right? And one day we will probably see triple-digit prices. So even if you have a 20% tax as of right now, you should be able to make some money. The question is when. So that's the question here, I think. So let's switch a little bit from the physical market. By the way, as I said in the beginning, people can buy your first mint physical silver product at the show in Stuttgart. I think that's very important here to understand. But let's talk about First Majestic Silver a little bit more. You had a very good free cash flow last quarter. I think almost $70 million in free cash flow. But the share price has stayed more or less in the, let's say, same level here. Why do you think is that? What needs to happen that the investing community keeps an eye on the silver stocks again, especially at First Majestic, because it's a very well-known stock, right? And mostly if people are looking for a stock to invest in, they are picking the well-known ones. So you should be one of the first movers in the market, I think.
Yeah, so I can't speak on behalf of the market. I'll speak on First Majestic. We've always been the go-to name for silver, but our stock has been punished by the markets over the last two and a half years, really for three issues that we've encountered and have now been resolved. The first issue was we had to shut down Jerritt Canyon, so that happened early in 2023, and that had a big impact on the stock. We had labor issues at San Dimas, our largest mine, so that was underperforming for about 18 to 20 months. And we basically lost 1/3 of our water supply at our smaller mine, La Encantada. So that reduced production and elevated costs, and that really put a lot of pressure as well on the overall portfolio. So if you look at 2024, we actually have a slide on our website, which your viewers are more than welcome to take a look at. You'll see 2024 was truly a transitional year. Every quarter we've improved production. We have resolved the water issue at La Encantada. All that has happened gradually, quarter over quarter in the year. And Q4, as you pointed out, ended up being a record quarter for us. Production is back on budget. Costs have come down. And we obviously enjoyed decent silver prices, not to the level that we want them, but despite them hovering around upper 20s, low 30s, we had a record free cash flow. Now, all that is not including our most recent acquisition. So in January 2025, we closed on our largest transaction in the company's history. We bought a mine called Cerro Los Gatos, and it is a beautiful mine, and I'm sure we can get into that a bit later. But low cost, high production, significant cash flow. So all that combined with the existing portfolio, that's really going to give us a pretty exciting Q1. We put out our production news a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be putting out our financials on May 7th. So just before we come see you guys, so we'll have a lot to talk about and discuss our financial statements from a cost, from cash flow perspective. But I do think that First Majestic has gone through a transition period, and right now we're at the start of an exciting new cycle between our operation performing to the levels that we'd like them to, combined with silver and gold prices, working in our favor.
Absolutely. And maybe we can focus a little bit on the Los Gatos acquisition here. I mean, maybe you can tell us a little bit, why did you buy it? You just said it's a beautiful mine. What makes it so wonderful in the First Majestic's view? And the second question would be, how is the integration going, right? Because when you do transactions like this, you always have a little bit of issues in the beginning, usually, right? Because you have to get the new people into a new company, and there's always a little bit of delay and things are slowing down. How's everything going there? Is everything going great?
Yeah, look, so let me talk about why we bought Gatos. So Gatos is the real deal. It's a district scale asset. It comes with a significant land package, 103,000 hectares that's barely explored. The mine currently has 10-year life of mine, and that's based on 5% of the land package. So this mine is going to be around for decades to come, and we're quite excited about that front. Super competitive process. It took us almost a year to, from our initial discussion with management to finally closing the deal. 13 companies were basically involved in that, in that bidding process. So you can tell everyone was quite excited. They knew what Gatos had. We're very happy to have been the winning bid at the end. Why we liked it, I mentioned it sits in the bottom cost quartile globally. So it's in one of the top 10 silver deposits. It's relatively new. It just commenced production a couple of years ago. Brand new mill, effectively. The initial owners, they spent over $300 million building that mill, and one of the most modern mills that we've seen. And we know the mining industry. We scout the planet looking for the next deal for us. So we really like Gatos, and it sits in Mexico. We've been in Mexico for 22 years. It's really in our backyard. So we're, the mine standalone is fantastic, cash flowing, low cost, no problem. Now you take that mine and you put that in a portfolio that's existed in Mexico with a proven management team. We're already realizing some exciting synergies and some cost reduction. So it's, this asset made perfect sense to be in First Majestic's portfolio. On the integration front, so this is a new mine. So, there isn't much that needs to be fixing. We're letting operation running smoothly. Some mine tweaking, some low-hanging fruits that we're rolling out are our procurement program, for example, is pretty robust. We have group purchase powers that now we're rolling out to Gatos, so we're seeing some synergies from exploration stands, from reagents, whether it's cyanide, ball mills, etc. What we've done a little bit differently with Gatos is we've actually had our team sitting at sites a few months before we closed. So they were sitting there working with the previous management, learning, building up a plan for integration. So as soon as January 16th happened, that acquisition date, we hit the ground running with executing these plans. So it's been pretty smooth, and we're quite happy with where we are right now.
That sounds very good. And as you already said, it's quite a commitment to Mexico, right? I mean, you've always been there. You have been very successful in Mexico. But when you have an overall look at the Mexican mining industry, there still is a question mark. Even though Claudia Scheinbaum is now in power, she seems to be more open for foreign investment money, also for mining in Mexico. Do you think, I mean, you have committed quite well with especially the Los Gatos deal, but do you think Mexico is on an uprise again when it comes to mining also?
Yeah, we think so, obviously. We've been hearing quite positive points from the new administration. We've had a few meetings with some of the government personnel and some close friends with President Scheinbaum as well, and we keep the message keeps getting reiterated. She's pragmatic, she's supportive of foreign investments and the mining industry. We're starting to see some permits flow through, which is exciting. That's something that the previous administration was very vocal and on not wanting to issue. So all that really has given us more comfort and confidence in doubling down in Mexico. We wouldn't have done the Gatos acquisition if we didn't view Mexico as an improved environment compared to what we've dealt with in the past.
Absolutely. That sounds good. And it's not a secret for our viewers as well that we at AXINO are also betting a little bit on the Mexican, especially the Mexican silver mining industry. So that's very good to hear that you also have positive feedback out of Mexico. I mean, you're not just a silver industry insider, you're also a Mexico insider with a lot of experience there. Mani, thank you very much for all your comments and statements regarding the silver market, regarding First Majestics. As I said in the beginning, you will be with us at the Stuttgart show at the 9th and 10th of May. And as I said earlier, we have a little bit of a, let's say, introduction. You will be there. Keith Neumeier will be there. What are your expectations and what do you want to discuss with the German people, German-speaking investor? What is your word to the German-speaking investor community that is coming to the fair as well? Yeah,
look, well, obviously, again, appreciate the opportunity to come down to Stuttgart. It's been a while since we've been there. But Germany has a dear place in our heart. Keith always reminds me that our initial shareholders, a big chunk of them, really came from Germany, and we do have a big German base currently out of our shareholder bases. So it's always great to be there, connecting with existing shareholders, meeting some potential new shareholders. Our message really is going to be showing what we've done is what it comes down to. We've had a great 2024. We have a fantastic start to 2025, and we're pretty excited to really show, what Q1 will look like. We would have just put out our financial statements at that point, so it's perfect timing to come and show and really discuss what the future of First Majestic is shaping up to be.
That sounds very good.
Something silver, so bring your cash with you, and we'll try to bring as much as we can, and I suspect we'll be selling out pretty quickly. So come to our booth.
Sounds very good. We are really looking forward to have you at our booth, and we're looking forward chatting with you, connecting with investors. Mani, thank you very much for your time, and let's talk again soon, and we see each other in person. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Take care.
Take care.